Hey everybody, on this video today I'm going to show you battle excerpts from our first group game here in the new gaming hall. 15mm World War II, Northern Africa, out of Battlegroup Torch. I really enjoyed this book. It's got a lot of great information. Now we were going to play Tobruk, Battlegroup Tobruk. Tobruk is early war. This Torch book is more mid-war. Now here's what we and I came to find when we started organizing this game. A lot of guys do not have a lot of early war equipment in their army collection. Okay, so I had a little bit. I had enough to build a list of British and a list of, well, I could have built several lists of Germans, but I only had enough for one list of early war British, and those were the Battlefront models I got when the version 4 Flames of War came out. So I got online. I realized that this Torch was really where we needed to go, because a lot more guys had the equipment that we could build lists. Now, here's the next thing I have for a tip for you guys who want to start organizing group games, either at your place or at a local game shop or a local club, is to make it very clear to the players that want to play whether or not they need to bring their own forces or you supply all the forces. This was the point of contention as I'm just getting into doing group battles here in the new gaming hall. I did want to give you guys some tips on things that I'm starting to realize as I move forward here with these games and organizing the games. Number one, you either supply all the armies, build the units. In this case, just like our previous game on the channel, we were at 750 points per side, 250 points per player. Ideally, we wanted a 3v3 game. It ended up being a 2v2 game. So, tip one, if everyone does not have the book to build out of, right, you'll need to take some snaps with your cell phone and send them some army lists so they can build from their own forces. Now, here's the pros and cons. If you bring your own army, you control, as the player, you get to control your force, right? If I'm supplying your force and you show up and I say, this is your force, and, you know, guys can tend to look at you and say, oh, this force sucks or whatever. I'm not completely sure how I'm going to handle this moving forward. I thought it would be a great idea to have guys bring their own units. I think there was some confusion on whether they were to bring their forces or not bring a force. I was going to build the force. So in the future, what I will do is I will make this very clear what I expect of each player as they commit to the game, as they either build a force or I instruct them on the force that I've built for them and maybe send them some pictures of the force that I built for them so they can kind of become familiar with it before the game comes. So there's that point. Right now, the group games I'm organizing, we are going to be looking at various modes of trying to communicate with each other. Up to this point, we have been using Facebook Messenger. I find that I put about 12 guys in the Messenger group, and half the guys don't ever seem to look at Facebook. They don't ever respond to questions or queries or things that we're talking about in the group. So I've reached out to the guys to give me their cell phone numbers, and that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I've got one player that I have their cell phone number. That way I can just send out texts, like a group text. So I have not cracked this nut yet, but for those of you guys, communication seems to be an issue, right? So whether it's email, whether it's Facebook Messenger, whether it's traditional cell phone texting, You probably have to find a combination of things in order to get through to everyone. I don't know. A lot of guys are starting to drop off of Facebook with all of this censorship and things that are going on with these big media companies. So personally, I believe the cell phone is going to be the best way to communicate. I can make a cell phone group for texting, and I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, but there you have it. Just my feedback here from organizing my first group game. I'm working on the next 2 group games. The next one coming up is December 12th, Star Wars Legion. Ideally, we want to do 2v2. There is a way you can play 4-player with this system instead of the 1v1. So if we do get, right now it's just myself and Rob. And so here's how the group games work, guys. I know a lot of guys have been messaging me and making comments that they would like to come play. The first prerequisite to coming here to the studio to play is to be on my Facebook group. Okay, we need to get to know you a little bit. We need to interact with you some. If you're a local player, if you're coming from the Tri-City area here in Ohio, that's all good. But there is nobody just showing up on my doorstep wanting to play or to meet me or to come down to the studio. That's not how it works. You can try to get in on a group game, right? If you're a member of my Facebook group, and that way we're here all as a group. I don't think it's a good policy to have just people showing up here at the homestead. The next group game we have scheduled is January 24th. It's a Saturday, 10 a.m. We are planning on playing Hail Caesar. Right now there's only 2 players scheduled, myself and Zach. We're welcome to take on new players, especially guys that live in the area and have been a member of my Facebook group, Alan Smith Hobby and Wargames. So get on there, interact, let us get to know you, and if we have an opening for a group game and you'd like to commit to the group game, that's all well and good. Now here we go. I want to cut away to the battle itself. Again, we're just going to do excerpts. I'm going to just describe some of the things that we're working on. And this is my first attempt at making my first big table like this using the cloth mat. Worked perfect. I used the sand colored cloth. It was a lot of complexity to the fabric in terms of color variation. And I also went in with my airbrush and highlighted some dark patches in the sand, etc. And I think it worked out really well. The dunes, here's how I made the dunes, guys. Hot tip. I just rolled up hand towels, stuck hand towels into there. The foam hills just were not working. They created too many wrinkles. It just didn't really work out. You need something that's kind of flexible, either like soft foam or cloth, or like I did, rolled up hand towels. And you stick them underneath the mat and you spread it out and you're ready to go. I do have another green mat I'm going to be preparing for the Hail Caesar game. Same concept. It's going to fit that 12-foot table perfectly. We'll make some hills. I'll do some dry brushing. I'll actually do some brushing techniques with paint. So stay tuned for that. That's upcoming. So let's go ahead. Let's cut to the game, and I'll walk you through all the aspects of how it went. Okay, here we are in the new gaming hall, guys. We got the flat screen up. I'm playing some desert music. We've got everything set up. I got my temporary tables until my new display cabinets come in. And we will have a nice little desert battle here based around a desert village that has been bombed. And you can see there the cloth and the Pack 38 I have positioned there. Another Pack 38 in the bombed out church. And you can see how well this mat turned out. I didn't really worry about the wrinkles in the creases because it just looked like a windswept desert, right? It turned out really good. I was very pleased with it. We have everything set up. Now these are our reserves off on the table. And again, this was Germans versus Americans mid-war. Battlegroup torch. Here we are getting started. Making rolls. Moving our Panzer IVs. Those were my Panzer IVs. Zach brought some Panzer IIIs. And I like playing the short side towards each other. The battle gets off to a quick start. There's not a lot of moving. You just do a move or two, and you're starting, fighting. So it makes the game go a little quicker, and it works out really well playing it that way. That's the way we can really stack up 3 players if we need to on this 12-foot long board. So we're using some old smoke markers that I made years ago as indicators that those units have fired. Right? And again, guys, the big thing with Battlegroup is each round, each player rolls, we roll for the Battlegroup's orders, and then we divide up the orders amongst the players. So it limits what you can do each turn. Very much more realistic. And we got those nice markers. You'll notice those behind the tanks. Those keep track of your rounds. And Battlegroup, you don't just have unlimited ammo. You will have, based on what the card tells you, the ammo that it has, based on the type of tank. In this case, I had 9 total shots. I made them all armor piercing, or high. You could use high explosive. There we go. We got a mark there with a unit there. It's a Fallschirmjäger unit that was damaged. Now here's our spread we had. We had the spinach and artichoke dip and all the good stuff. Make your own sandwiches. And my wife did an amazing job on the food. Here's more of a ground level view. You can see here I've got my defilade there over the dune, shooting my Panzer IVs. There's some more Fallschirmjägers coming up to occupy a building. And the Panzer IIIs coming on the board. I think we proxied in some Panzer IVs for those. The Americans are coming up, and their half tracks and their jeeps. And the big advantage that the Americans had is their amazing artillery. So they're calling off-board artillery, and they're also bringing up Lees. Had several Lees. They had some Shermans. It was a good time. Actually, next game we play a Desert War, I'd actually like to play the Americans. I mean, this was a close game. It really came down to the battle rating. So again, we build our forces off of the battle group that has basically points. So 750 points per side in this game, and each battle group has a number of battle rating points. And as your battle rating points go down, as you pull chits out of the bag for various actions, like taking a objective or you take a casualty, you'll pull chits from the bag. And here's Zach's, always good to have on your team. He's very thorough. And again, I had some pretty decent success with my mortar team. So I took some guff for that, but old mortar team ended up pulling out some kills and pinning some units. See here, we had a great game. It really came down to the wire. So I highly encourage you guys to play group games. Try out Battlegroup if you've not tried out the Battlegroup rules. You'll really like them. And I want to thank everybody for coming along for the ride again today. And I'll see you on the other side.